Here we've got our Trinity, who is the Nagel woman, the thing that must be sucked dry. And of course, we continue so that this matrix woman is totally hellized. We want to torture her for all eternity to get not only the energy she had, but we're reversing it. We're using chaos as the Neo. There we go. So, what's the final solution for the source? Well, via me, the source has got all the sourceness stolen by the vermin Adam Jesuses, Neos. All of this is got back. But of course that's not enough for me. I want to turn all of the Jew God and all its creatures, creations, into Omega Hell, so they suffer and suffer to levels that were inconceivable before, so in their eternal suffering as matrix entities, they produce new sourceness, for me, the Tim Rifat's King Vampire source, to increase sourceness, which of course the source is okay with. The source's only rule is, I'm invulnerable and I fight off all threats. But this new aspect of the source, the Tim Rifat aspect, is no. I'm coming after chaos, and I want chaos to suffer more and more and more and more for all eternity and beyond, to make more sourceness. Why? Because I'm worth it, and I use L'Oreal. A whole new paradigm. And of course, to do this, I of course need Nagel women, like this stylized Nagel woman Trinity, to be facing chaos, to broadcast via the ram's horn, which is the symbol of love within the Grail patterns and within ley lines. The negative ram's horn going anti-clockwise to create more and more and more hell, and the one going inwards again clockwise to take all the goodness out of the subject. And in the matrix, since everything has been matricized now, you can simply, as the Americans wanted with Obama flying over to see Sunak to get me whisked off to their facility, you download the Tim Rifat idiot into the matrix via the Elon Musk Neuralink, and as we develop the matrix using idiots going into it to get their CBDCs to increase the matrix by spending all their time in the matrix, we can torture this idiot Tim Rifat Neo more and more and more and more. And when he goes mad, we simply reboot him at a higher torture level, and reboot him again, and reboot him again. And of course, since he's the source, we capture the source in the matrix, and therefore we can turn all the matrix, which is the Jew God and everything Jewish, and the Jew God creation, into the source. The cunning plan of the Baldricks in MI5, the CIA, and the Rothschild Rockefeller royal family. Only one problem. In order to do that, this idiot Neo, this filth, Adam, needs to copulate with this garbage called the Nagel woman and have a baby in order to complete, Because remember, you can't take the sourceness from this Kalki, Tim Rifat, unless he gives it of his own free will. Therefore, he had to get married and have children with a Nagwal woman, and it was all completed. What happens when he goes around hunting them down, sucking them dry? Oh, dearie me. That means then the Jew God and all its creatures, creations are matricized, omega-helized, and this is Kalki, who goes in the matrix and makes things worse and worse and worse eternally to feed himself and become more and more sourceless. So after consuming all the Nagwal women, I finally drove Lilith back to its last body, this being the reincarnation of Lilith, Taylor Swift. Now, Adam couldn't stand Lilith because she was a bossy, domineering, I was going to use the B word, but we're on YouTube. So let's say obnoxious, execrable individual. Sometimes one loves rumble, one can go into full potty mouth, but never mind. This thing is Lilith. And of course, this thing is being used by Kalki to broadcast, after taking all the sourceness out of the Jew God and its creatures and creation, hellization, to turn the matrix, which everything has become. You become fixated in thinking aliens and spaceships are anything but matrix. Who cares if in the matrix they're advanced and have got starships and can do this and that and that and this and this and that? They're simply matrix, they're information. Their reality comes from the source. The source set the final trap to take all sourceness that was ever given to creation back to the source, turning everything into the matrix. Via this thing, this Lilith. Now, Kalki, who of course is Tim Rifat, the source, is doing what Chaos tried to do to the source, which is torturing the matrix, and by means and methods which go far beyond human ken. From the suffering within the matrix can produce new sourceness to increase the sourceness of the source, which has its positive pole, the source, and its negative pole, the source. But the negative pole, of course, is Kalki, yours truly. I've come here to turn all of creation and the megaverse into a torture hell where all the matrix entities are tortured eternally at higher and higher torture levels, which Obama got Sunak under the Espionage Act to take me to an Elon Musk facility, or Elon Musk-like facility, to be tortured in the same manner. I've simply turned all of creation into a matrix where everything within it suffers what I would have suffered. Payback. And of course using Lilith, the first Nagwal woman, and in fact the only one, because if one posits that all Nagwal women are simply clones or mirror images or fractured copies of her, this thing is now used by Kalki to broadcast this total hellization into chaos, and the Jew God, of course, has been totally hellies and all its creatures and creation. You just don't know it yet. But there might be some signs. So,
to Russia, and joining us to discuss what is happening.
some of you might be oblivious to, we're on the, World War III has been declared by Russia at the moment that British Storm Shadow, French Scalp and American ATACMS were authorised to attack Russia. So Russia's declared war on the West, and Russia has the most nuclear weapons and the most advanced nuclear weapons in the world. So one can see that you think the world's the same as it was. No, World War III is declared, and let's hope that the UK is annihilated by Christmas. That would be my ultimate Christmas present. But as you can see, Kalki has made sure that we've got World War III and death and destruction on a scale unimaginable. I'm looking for about 6.66 billion in the death toll is coming your way. So this is Albert Pike, a 33rd degree Freemason and Luciferian, who way back (1871) predicted, and of course was a member of the Luciferic cult, the First World War. It must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the Tsar in Russia and making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergence caused by the agents, where have we heard that before? Of the Illuminati between the British and German empires will be used to foment this war. So we can see this agents are Rothschilds, Rockefellers, royal family. We know now they're the Jew god, the architects, agents to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions. Who came up with this? A Jew, Marx, coming from the architect, the Jew god. Now, we need a Neo to bring sourceness into the architect's creation so that Lucifer doesn't oppose it and stop the First World War. So we need a Jesus Christ for the First World War, so the First World War can come into being. And this Jesus, this Neo, must be around, otherwise the First World War couldn't exist. Remember, Neos, instead of bringing goodness into the world, are the agents of the Jew god and its horrific hell on earth, which is what the Jew god, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, royal family bring. So, who was the Neo for the First World War? That, of course, was Rasputin, the Nagwal man who was bonking the Tsarina, and we, of course, have the Tsarina producing one of Rasputin's piglets. I could go to Rasputin, who's Rasputin, and the Tsarina, and how he died horribly being but took a lot of effort to kill him. We can go into that, but that's a digression, and that really is wasting time. It just would be video filler, and we're just giving you secrets that the Rothschild, Rockefeller royal family scream about when Kalki, Tim Rifat, gives them to you. So you can look that for yourself. Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists, who were created by the architect, because remember Hitler was the bastard son of Nathaniel the Austrian Rothschild and his maid, so he was a Rothschild, and the political Zionists. Stalin, of course, was another Jew from Georgia and allegedly a Rothschild. The war must be brought about so that the Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. Oh, Zion from the Matrix. This, of course, is the Jew God's creation, Israel. All Jews all walk in beings of the Jew God, the chosen race of the Jew God, because the Jew God can walk into all of them, so all Israelis are agents. During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for that final social cataclysm. Where do the neos come from? The Christian dipsticks, the evangelicals, those sort of people. And who was the Jesus Christ for World War II? Whoa, who tried to stop World War II and bring peace? Who was into all this occult stuff? Who was of the bloodline of the Christians? Hermann Hesse, who flew into the UK in his fighter, parachuted into Scotland, and the Jew Churchill had him imprisoned. He came with a peace plan because Hitler wanted peace with the UK so he could fight the communists, instead of which this neo, Hermann Hesse, got banged up for life and died in prison. Never been allowed to see anyone in his British incarceration. Hermann Hesse being the neo for World War II. So, World War III, Pike then predicted a Third World War, which he said must be fomented by taking advantage of the difference caused by the agents of the Illuminati, Rothschilds, Rockefeller's royal family. Neo films, the Jew God walking into bodies and being able to take over any body within its creation by the agents. Between the political Zionists, that's the Israelis, and the leaders of the Islamic world, which of course is the Ayatollahs in Iran. Where have you heard about war between these two being on the horizon? I do not know. This must be conspiracy theory, because it's not happening, is it? Ooh, I don't know. He continued, the war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world. Now he's wrong there, because I'm a Sunni Muslim and of Turkish origin, and we hate Shias. We in fact were supporting Islamic State and the Sunnis who occupied Syria and parts of Iraq. We don't like Shias. Shias to us are heretics. It's like Protestants and Catholics. So, just to explain it from the Muslim viewpoint. So, the State of Israel and the Arabic world must mutually destroy each other. And remember, Hamas, the terrorists, weren't supporting their Sunni brethren in Syria and Iraq. No, they supported the Shias who were killing them. So the Sunni Hamas terrorists to Turkish fundamentalists like myself are seen as apostates and deserve everything they're damn well getting, which they're getting from Kalki. I made a bit of a mistake there. If Kalki's a Sunni Muslim, then these Hamas terrorists and the Palestinians are getting their just desserts for supporting the heretic Shias, who are in fact the architects' version of Islam. Think of it, Lucifer and Satan. Lucifer would be the Sunni Muslims and the Satan version would be the Shia Muslims. Now to explain that, we have Salman Rushdie. We can jump across, but this is just an aside. Salman Rushdie had in his satanic verses that Lucifer dictated the first part of the Quran to Muhammad. No, Muhammad, Sunni, controlled Lucifer, and the first part of the Quran is showing that Lucifer is commanded by the Muslim prophet Muhammad, taken over by his successor, Kalki, the Muslim Tim Rifat, who commands Lucifer. Why? Because Lucifer won nothing, tried to take away sourceness from the final Neo, because he was so terrified of Tim Rifat, lost it with Perry marrying the Jew Bloom, thanks to the Rothschild Rockefeller royal family, and lost the double or quits bet, which of course was marrying Taylor Swift, who's now going to marry, hopefully, the Travis Kelce dipstick, with the Rothschild Rockefeller royal family trying to cheat by getting me carted away to their torture facility. If you can't do it of his own free will, let's cart him off to the facility, torture him so long in the matrix that he eventually gives up and we get what we want. Did not work out very well, did it, for them? So, the fatwa against Salman Rushdie, where he lost his eye and he's got an arm that's paralysed from a Muslim attacker, is simply just desserts for twisting the truth, where the Prophet Muhammad commands Lucifer. Lucifer does not dictate to the Prophet Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad dictates for Lucifer. So you see again the Shias and their agents, Salman Rushdie, twisting the truth. Lucifer is commanded by the Prophet Muhammad, whose bloodline comes to yours truly, where Lucifer now is my eternal bitch for all eternity. Or slave, if you, we're not being misogynistic, we were using the term of total slave. So, meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual and economic exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists. That a nihilist is someone who doesn't believe in anything. That would be most Westerners. And the atheists, those people who don't believe in God, that's Westerners. And we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm. Well, that's happening in the West, is it not? Which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery and the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere. Well, that's a bit of a problem there, because having stopped the American psychic warfare program killing Vladimir Putin, we've got all of these Christians in Russia about to destroy the atheist West. So this is already nihilist and atheist. No, Christians, the Russians are quite devout Christians and are not into the LGBTQ and all the other stuff. So already Kalki has screwed up this prediction. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world's minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity. Well, I don't think the Russians are disillusioned with Christianity, and they've won the war in Ukraine. So all that's left is the West to give nuclear weapons to the Jew. Oh, he's Jewish, is he? Yeah, Zelensky and his regime, Jewish. All of the Ukraine's owned by Jews and now sold to BlackRock, which is owned by, oh, the Rothschilds. Disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirit will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, finally poured out a public view. Yes, that's what I'm doing. I control Lucifer. I'm the source of the light given to Lucifer, who's the source's agent in chaos, creation, and we will get this reality, except it won't be the reality that the Satanists, who are the Jew God's agents, thought it would be. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity. Yes, you might have heard from my YouTube videos, I'm not a strong supporter of Christianity. I think it supplies neos to the Jew God and produces all the evil in the world. And atheism, no, as I say, being a Muslim, the only good atheist is a not alive and kicking atheist, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Totally agree with that. So we go back to Lilith. I've driven Lilith back into her final receptacle, having consumed all the other Nagwal, be they Miley Cyrus or Dua or Sharon Stone or Kylie Minogue. There is no Nagwal woman on the planet now, apart from this thing. Why have I left this thing alone? So we've got Feigenbaum period doubling, and we go from the source, Adam, to that's Lilith here. So we've been going in this direction, but Kalki, the Neo, the Tim Refat, simply wants to bleed the matrix to produce more sourceness. How do you do that? Well, you simply push this further and further this way. So the stranger track to the eagle is consumed and hellized. It is also been called Adonai, Sabaoth, Yahweh, Tetragrammaton, Elohim, the Jew God, the architect. And in doing so, we push the Jew God into hell, into the state that Obama and Sunak and the World Economic Forum and the Rothschild Rockefeller royal family wanted me in their facility. It's a matrix, it's just information, but it isn't, because we can get sourceness, we can get light, we can get free will, we can get Higgs field, we can get scalar from the matrix by mechanisms which are so complicated, I'm not even going to begin to explain, because as mere mortals, this physics and maths would be well beyond the YouTube remit, and secondly, I want to keep it to myself. But nevertheless, you're all being tortured, you're all being omega helized, and the Jew God has been driven into you. How? Ha! Via the nanotech which infests you. So all the nanotech that was injected, infected, sprayed by various other means, eaten, breathed in via chemtrails, whatever methodology it was put into you, pardon me, allows the information of the Jew God, the strange attractor, to be downloaded into you, the 6 billion infested, so you can become the torture beasts in the Matrix to torture the Jew God. Basically, you're agents of the Jew God, but the Jew God's trapped in you, suffering within you. Get your various ailments that come from the nanotech, and when you die in the Matrix, you're carted off to the torture facility that I was going to be tortured in by Obama and his Obamaites in America for endless torture. When you go mad, you're tortured at higher torture level after you're rebooted. So the level that drove you mad, they put the information that you don't go mad, and you can have more torture at the higher torture level. When you go mad, rebooted, and torture the higher torture level. So we're basically doing Gödel's incompleteness theorem, where you go mad, but then you add to the system what drove you mad, so you can experience the pain at the higher level. All good, eh? As one can see, this is simply the inverse of what the Jew God wanted to do to me. And all of the infested humans are simply carrying out this mechanism. So, this is all madness, Tim Refet's office. No, it's already been done to you of your own free will. 6 billion of you. Well, 6.66 billion that way. This means, of course, that the strange attractor in you can suffer and produce new sources for me. But we do need, as we've explained before, the Nagel woman. She has to point to chaos to project this hellization into the Jew God and its creatures and creation. Here's the ram's horn. So you see the ram's horn comes from this bifurcation. Hellization, taking away all the goodness. Uploading new sourceness, free will, Higgs field, light into the 5th dimension via the Neo. Who's not the Neo? Call him the anti-Neo, the anti-Jesus. Why, that would be called Antichrist. Yeah, the Antichrist, the anti-Jesus. And of course, we need the first Nagwal woman, Lilith, to do it for the Antichrist, which of course is Taylor Swift. The Lilith, the first wife of Adam. So Taylor now needs to be totally processed for this process. How do we do this? Well, of her own free will, she needs to try and oppose me. And of course, remember, she was the power source for the American psychic warfare program. And the American psychic warfare program is funded to the tune of billions and billions to oppose me. Who buy Rothschild Rockefeller royal family. Now, they have to prove to their masses their effectiveness. And what's the world religion? Here's our world religion. Soccer, or football as we Brits call it, but you Americans call it soccer because you got your NFL, which is way better than soccer. But nevertheless, this is the world religion. So, I had Man City win the Premier League 4 years in a row to prove that the American psychic warfare program was worthless and was actually feeding me. Think of this as the worm on the end of the line to get them predicated into beating Man City at all costs to prove the American psychic warfare program had finally beaten their arch nemesis, which the American psychic warfare program was being paid billions to defeat. Tim Refat. So, the American psychic warfare program could prove that all the billions being funneled into it had finally succeeded when Man City were kicked off the Premier League by the efforts of the American psychic warfare program, all powered, of course, by the ultimate psychic, which of course is Sochivanov. Doesn't matter how many psychics you've got, they're only as good as the most powerful one, and they're only as powerful as the most powerful one. So basically, if it's 10 units, then all the rest can only get up to 10 units by linking up to the most powerful, which of course is Swift. So, what do you do when you have Lucifer as your slave? I was going to use the B word, but that's not YouTube friendly, and it's misogynistic, and it's used in the wrong context. But when you've got Lucifer as your eternal slave, that's better. Well, you simply give them the poison chalice. If you want to win against Man City so that you'll get billions in extra funding to combat Kalki Tim Refat, there's an IOU to pay, which of course is that you're all turned into inverted hangmen.